Hey, Hawkeye fans! Chad Leistikow of the Des Moines Register, Dargan Southard of the Des Moines Register. We are at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. We're just below us. Earlier tonight, Caitlin Clark was uh, in her theatrics mode. That was fun to kind of see it again. Her kid jumping on the refs and getting into the game, even from Taylor McCabe's first three-pointer. She was into the game. Just a lot of fun energy here at Indy, and the Hawkeyes beat Michigan State 74-61. Dargan, really impressive win in a lot of different ways in terms of what Iowa overcame. Between a horrible start, foul trouble, and then the solutions that they found along the way, including a true freshman in Ava Heiden, who definitely became the story of the night.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the March juices are flowing now. You know, Wednesday was kind of a nice appetizer. Come out, do what you're supposed to against Wisconsin, but this was the first kind of toss-up game that was really going to kind of set the tone for what the rest of the postseason could look like. And you know, I'm sure everybody watching here has watched a lot of March basketball, and a lot of times it looks like exactly like tonight. Gross, frustrating, lots of adversity to overcome. And then not only do you have to find solutions, but it may not even be the solutions that you think they're going to be. And so, you contrast this with what happened when Iowa played them in East Lansing back in mid-December, which was obviously a long time ago, but it kind of gives a perspective of how far this team has come and the growth that it's putting on full display now, because this was a vintage type of game that Iowa doesn't win 6 weeks ago. And the fact that it, overcame a rocky start, overcame everything, and shut it down and closed it down without a ton of drama down the stretch, really kind of emphasizes and offers more evidence that this team is, again, thriving as the spotlight gets brighter. And I think that's a huge thing and a huge testament to the direction that this program continues to ascend, is that, these big moments aren't overwhelming or too much, even for a team with a lot of young new players.
Yeah, Kylie Feuerbach was one of the players I got to talk to afterwards in the hallway, and composure was a big word that she used. I mean, this team really did. There was a lot that could have rattled the Hawks today, and did. You say there was no drama, Dargan, but there was drama in the third quarter anyway. Jan Jensen picks up her first career technical foul as a head coach. I assume she's never gotten one as an assistant either, so I guess you could say maybe it's her first tee. Taylor McCabe was hilarious. She's like, we loved it. And Kylie was like, yeah, we celebrated in the locker room. So it gave them a little bit of a spark. It was 37-37 at the time. But yeah, it was definitely not a drama-free win by any means. It was they had to go out and take it. They were down 4 at one point, 44-40 after. I mean, it really felt like at halftime they should have been up more. They were up 32-25, but had 11 steals in that first half. But and all of a sudden, right to start the second half, it's like it's a ball game. And so, really good job by the Hawkeyes to weather that storm, like you said. What was it? Yeah, it was 46-41. So Iowa was down 5, and then Taylor McCabe hits the 3 to pull. She was so money when Iowa needed it. Every time Iowa needed a big 3, it seemed like McCabe was there. I don't know. Just that's I guess that's what the type of answers you're talking about. Like, if when the pressure cranked up, somebody was there, and it was different players throughout the game. I mean, you go Lucy early, Hannah a little bit in the mid, certainly McCabe and Heiden in the third and fourth, and then even Feuerbach late. I mean, hitting a big 3 at the end, a big 2 at the end of the shot clock. She had the steal and layup right after Jensen's tee. So it really was kind of like somebody would step up just when Iowa would need it. And again, that's, like you said, that's kind of a mark of a team that's tested in March.
Yeah, I wonder if Jan Jensen had any techs as a player. That would
that'd be a good question.
Maybe that's documented somewhere. We'll have to explore on that one. But Yeah, I mean, I think,
Bluter would
Lucy
know.
Olsen.
Bluter would
Yeah,
know.
she would. She would. um, but Lucy Olsen had a quote tonight about how this team believes and has found its identity, and I think that's exactly what it is it's everybody being ready. It's everybody believing that, hey, this could be my night, or I don't know what's going to happen in the game to give me my moment, but if I get it, I'm going to be ready. That's kind of the bench mindset. And then the vets are really showing why they're vets, and these moments where could totally I mean, you think about the start, like the start could have totally derailed everything. I mean, Iowa goes, I think it was 5 or 6 minutes without scoring. The offense looks like it does when it's struggling, and it's hard to string quality possessions together. But it's almost like Iowa expects to deal with stuff like that at this point. It's not, they're almost, it's almost surprising when there isn't any adversity that they have to deal with and overcome and hurdle. And so, again, strengthening that, as much as the X's and O's are pivotal this time of year and crucial, going through this month and this postseason with the right mindset and a focused mindset and one that can really handle anything thrown at you is how you survive and how you get through this month. And, at times this year, it was fair to wonder if Iowa would ever have that mental fortitude and that kind of hardened perseverance and fighting with all the experiences that they've gained. But it's very clear that it's here, and it seems like a team that is continuing to ascend and get better as the season gets more intense. And that's exactly what you want to see from a team that, feels like it can, we heard redemption tour. We heard, hey, we're staying here for 5 days. And,
Jan Jensen said we've still got 3 more games. And
exactly.
I don't think she even meant to say that, like the way she did, but it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Like they're thinking 5 games in 5 days here. They're not here just to improve their seed by a notch.
Right. And so I think that's, again, sign that, these moments aren't given, and they aren't, not every team gets to do things like this. And so I think this team is really leaning into what it is. It's moved past, kind of turning the page from the last few years. And you get to this time of year with an identity and confidence, and both of those can be very dangerous as a team like Iowa, tries to string some more high quality wins together here.
Yeah, I mean, it's 12:30 a.m. here on the East Coast, or not the East Coast, Eastern time zone. It's definitely not on a coast. I'm sorry. We've got a lot of people in YouTube. Appreciate you guys. I never, like during these things, look at the YouTube comments, but I'm going to try to do better on it. I don't do that in football. I'm going to try to do better. It's a New Year's resolution. So we're going to look at some of these. Colleen Schreier, I like this comment. I love Kylie just kept shooting, then the bench lifts her, and off they go. That was like, I want to talk about Ava in a second here, but I felt like Kylie was a really symbolic player in this game because she had a rough start. It was not a good first half for her offensively. I think she had at least one. I mean, the airball chant was going all game for her.
And they were good looks too that she was not hitting.
Yeah. But I talked to her again. I feel like she's matured so much as a player just this year in this prime role. Just talking to her, she's like, when things aren't going well, I just kind of make sure I just am focusing on getting into my defense. And what happened? She gets the steal and run out right after Jan's tee, ends up scoring 9 points tonight, 6 in the fourth quarter, and makes a difference. So great comment there by you, Colleen. But I wrote last night, we didn't do a post-game pod after beating Wisconsin, obviously. That was never the plan. But I wrote about the freshmen, Dargan. All 5 freshmen, you guys know this, that all 5 freshmen got on the court at the same time. And it was a moment for them because this was their first taste of the postseason in Big Ten play. And just what could they do? Jan Jensen is going to need them in some way, probably, if they're going to make a run. And lo and behold, tonight, Dargan, Hannah Stuelke, constant foul trouble, couldn't stay out of foul trouble. not all her fault probably. And she was the source of Jan's tea. Um, and I would say, and as Jan said afterward, it wasn't necessarily the best matchup for O'Grady ultimately. The way they saw it playing out, and so lo and behold, Ava Heiden comes off the bench. Really played it like maybe a little bit in the first half, a very little bit. But with 2:44 to go, Hannah gets in the third. She comes in, and man, I mean, she just looked like it was like a secret weapon,
Mhm.
like a guy you've been, like a 4-game freshman or something. Like you can play him in these spot games, or I don't even, or like a major league call up, like at the end. You don't want to, I
Mhm.
don't know, you know what I mean? Like it's all of a sudden you've got like this weapon on your team that you haven't had all year. Um, like there's no way they can keep her on the bench now, right? I mean, it was just an incredible performance by Ava. 4-4 from the field, 11 points, 11 minutes. Um, she won the game for Iowa. Ava Heiden did.
Yeah, and I mean it's very clear that the post situation is a game by game uh, breakdown and analysis with how Iowa wants to approach it. Probably not coincidence that Jan is the coach and is uh, all things post at Iowa. And so I think there's a very detailed and there's a very specific plan each game for how that's going to go. But when your bigs get in foul trouble, you kind of got to roll with what you got. And to me, this always seemed like the situation where Ava Heiden would get a chance to shine, whether it be Hannah or Addie in foul trouble, kind of deep in a game that's close. And, again, like it's not hard to envision Ava getting in there and, not matching the moment, given how erratic her and sporadic her playing time has been. But that's where the culture comes in. That's where the everyone matters comes in. That you can go through a whole season in a climate where freshmen, they want to get right in the action even more so than ever before. And so to reach this point in the season and being able to turn at the end of your bench and say, Ava, we need you in a tight game that could go either way, and she comes up with the performance that she does. I think that's just not that this program needed more evidence that its mindset and what it preaches is successful and is working, but it is a moment with this team that kind of confirms that. And I think you can feel that all the way through the roster that it isn't just coach speak to say, hey, stay locked in, your moment might come. Because it can come on the biggest stage. And that's, we've seen that here and there through Iowa's postseason runs of late. There have been times when somebody comes in and gives a big lift with maybe some unexpected minutes. So you never know how these games are quite going to go. And I think with this Iowa team, that's been even more apparent this year. But it kind of stresses the importance of everyone needing to be ready even more. And when you get a showing like tonight from Ava Heiden, it's very easy to keep hammering home that message because it's gonna come up again at some point in the rest of the season.
Yeah, of the 5 freshmen last night, Heiden played the fewest minutes, 7:44. She had 6 points, and I wrote in my story, she looked 6 good-looking points and 3 rebounds. I mean, she's we've seen it. We've seen these glimpses. And I thought Taylor Stremlo's quote last night really was indicative of the freshman class you talk of. She said, whatever the team needs, that's been my main mindset. If they need me to play 2 minutes, that's great. If they need me to play 20, I'll do that. Whatever I can do to help us get a win, I'm ready for it. And I'm not going to say every freshman has embraced that. I mean, Ava Heiden, every time we've interviewed her, has sort of said, yeah, it's frustrating. Like I want to play more. She's been like on the bench a lot of these games, and
Mm-hmm.
so a huge credit to like you said, huge credit to the culture, huge credit to Ava. She's going to be an amazing player here. She already, just showing us glimpses of that, and big time performance. I want to get to one more performance before we go to 3-word headlines. This isn't going to be like an eternal pod here as we push 1 a.m. But Lucy Olsen had let's face it, it was a pretty terrible game for her up at Michigan State on December 15th. She was 4-17 from the floor, 7 turnovers, had the game-winning shot in her hands and missed it. How about tonight? I mean, she carried Iowa when everything was going wrong early, ends up with 21 points, Dargan, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 4 steals, manages the foul trouble, and then, I mean, just as impressively as all those stats, 8 of 8 from the free throw line in clutch moments. That's been a bugaboo for her this year. 8 of 8 from the foul line. I mean, you know, we heard her go into the locker room, and you know, the door opens to the locker room after she does her BTN thing, and it's just like, Lou. It was just kind of funny, and but she's earned it. She's earned those accolades. She's earned first team All Big Ten. She was another reason they won tonight.
Yeah, and you look at how she has grown and ascended throughout the season, and it's probably the biggest reason why Iowa is in the spot that it's in compared to where it was in January trying to find its way. Is, you know, the Lucy, you know, Iowa doesn't need Lucy Olsen takeover special every night, but they need it to be ready as an option every night. And, you know, as big as scoring a bunch of late buckets down the stretch against USC is, or UCLA, or high profile opponents, I mean, sometimes what you need your superstar to do is hold everything together when no one else can score for the bulk of the first quarter, which after Taylor McCabe hit her 3 on the opening possession, no one else scored in the quarter but Lucy Olsen. So I think that's really been probably the biggest difference as Iowa has turned a corner and feels like it can win games like this and feels comfortable in them is, you know, Lucy Olsen is that anchor through thick and thin. And there's certainly been many times where they've needed her to do exactly what she did tonight. And that's just keep everything from collapsing. And so I think she's playing with a lot of confidence. She's clearly comfortable and is, you know, past, you know, she's talked about how earlier in the year, a lot of thinking, a lot of overthinking, a lot of still getting used to your teammates. All that has seemingly been put behind them. And you're seeing what happens when a player like Lucy Olsen operates with a full tank of confidence. And, you know, it can look like tonight. It can look like, you know, some of her other bigger games where it's been a lot of late production. But I think her versatility and being able to keep this offense running is probably the biggest thing that's changed with Iowa really getting it together here down the stretch of the season.
Iowa, Ohio State tomorrow night. Iowa is in the Final 8, but they will be one of 5 teams remaining as of when the game starts tomorrow night. So pretty cool for the Hawkeyes to get. How about a tough draw for Michigan State, though? You know, you get the 6th seed, you draw the most dangerous 11 in the history of conference tournaments.
Yes,
pretty crazy. Let's do some 3-word headlines here, Dargan, before we head out. I like this from Justin M. Hell Ava win. Hell Ava win. I love that. There's a lot of Ava stuff tonight. Terry Thorson says Sparty Heiden home. He could have said hidden home. Based on the PA announcer last night. The PA announcer was on his game tonight, though. He fixed it.
He got it together. Yeah, I mean, we're not even joking.
You couldn't have had a rougher game on the PA, but he was obviously ill-prepared, though. That's on him. But the only name he got right was Mulaney, which doesn't even sound even. You wouldn't even phonetically spell it, do it Mulaney. But he got that right. And I joked with someone who was like, "Okay, how do you pronounce this? Mulaney? It's Mulaney. Okay, I got everything else. That's fine." And then he just Macabre, Hidden, Gayton. There were some others too.
It was a rough night.
It was a rough
night. He got it together. It was a good bounce back.
He did. He did. Let's give him credit. Alex Fishman, credit to Jan. Good headline there. That's actually going to be a theme of my column and how she managed tonight. Will Lynch, I'll let you speak on this, Dargan. Hawks own Indy 11 straight games now. I know it's not all in Indy, but you covered the Big Ten tournament here a couple years ago for us. 3 years ago, Caitlin's sophomore year. 11 in a row in the Big Ten tournament. I don't care if you have Caitlin Clark on your team. That's an impressive stat. Ties a record.
And I mean, that spans over 4 seasons now. So, I mean, again, it's just more evidence that, you know, I've repeated it a few times, but you'll see in the month coming up, lots of teams that had great regular seasons and did a lot and have a lot of expectations in March, and they get there and they're just kind of like deer in the headlights. The tension creeps in, and suddenly, oh crap, our season's about to end. And you see so many teams that look completely different in the postseason than they did throughout the regular season, and not in a good way. And this Iowa team has gotten to a point where it's the complete opposite. Whatever turbulence it has to deal with in the regular season, whatever growing pains, no matter what the expectations are, it all seems to come together this time of year. And clearly they're comfortable with a situation in the season that a lot of teams aren't. And that's a credit to Jan. That's a credit to the program. That's a credit to everybody who operates with this kind of new level of confidence across the board that, when these games get important and these moments get bigger, that's when we play our best basketball. And you're seeing that again, time and time again. And I do think it is significant to mention, as you kind of teased with your column. I mean, Jan Jensen has had to grow this year, as a first-year coach. And, it took time before she was, feel like she was locked in that regard. And so everybody's kind of grown together. That's been probably the fun part of this season. And so we'll see what's in store tomorrow and in the immediate future after that.
Yeah, good assist for Tania Davis, keeping Jan from that second technical.
Yes.
Definitely could have happened. I don't think they would have given her the second tee, but yeah.
Well, it is funny because when Tania has come out,
Tania was aggressive after the first one, though.
Yeah. I mean, she's had to come and make a few appearances throughout the year, casual tug back. No, she was on it tonight. She was not letting her coach get tossed. And I mean, I'm not going to say Jan came close to getting another one, but she didn't. She was hot for pretty much the whole night. And that's been kind of interesting to watch, particularly interesting tonight because Caitlin Clark was sitting courtside opposite the Iowa bench. And I'm sure those on social media have seen that Caitlin did not stay in her seat the entire night. So you had Jan going wild on one side of the court and you had Caitlin on the other side. So it just made a nice parallel of intensity for the evening.
Yeah. Two more here. Brandon Walker, payback tour continues. Yes, they get another revenge spot tomorrow against Ohio State. If they win that, they would probably get another revenge spot against UCLA on Saturday. That's looking way ahead here, but they can beat Ohio State for sure. And then Brad Horseman, quit Heiden, Ava. I like that one too, just to play on words there. That had the most likes.
We love wordplay here on 3-word headlines.
One more comment here from Andy in the YouTube chat. He said, I would start Hannah with Ava to stop Cody McMahon tomorrow. They can play well together with their athleticism. I'm going to disagree on that just a little bit because Sid Folter, I thought, did a really good job actually at Ohio State last time. Had 15 boards, I believe, in that game at the 4. And Sid's got the strength. She's got a lot of strength. And Cody's built kind of the same way. They're both kind of strong power forward types. Smaller power forwards, but you know what I mean. So, but yeah, that is an option, Andy, for sure. They're not going to start Ava, but I think it'll be interesting to see, won't it, if it's Addie first off the bench or Ava. I'm going to suspect it's still, Jan said in the post game, it's matchup specific for Ava. She thought it might be a good matchup tonight, and she pushed that button and pushed it at the right time. But we'll see about tomorrow.
Well, and, maybe this causes, the trigger to be a little quicker going to Ava. If it's kind of, again, Addie and Ava's playing time is very dependent on what the other team is presenting, but you still got to kind of go with the flow of the game. And so I think there was confidence already with Ava. Now there's even more. And there's certainly going to be a lot of potential big post challenges ahead, both in this tournament and the next tournament that they play. So good quarterfinal game on tap. Another late night in store for us at Gainbridge
Yep.
Fieldhouse.
A 9 p.m. tip ish, unless the what's the game before us?
Nebraska. Yep.
UCLA, yeah. So don't anticipate that one going overtime, but if it does, we'll be late, and maybe we'll do another pod tomorrow. I haven't talked with Dargan about this, but if Iowa wins, maybe we'll hit you up with another. But the audience just keeps growing here, so
Yeah.
it's pretty impressive, you guys. Almost 1 a.m. out here in Indiana. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I mean it's and it's interesting. There's kind of gradually been more Iowa fans showing up as this tournament's gone on. I expect more will be there tomorrow. And then if they can get to the weekend, I think you'll get a full flock of them coming over this way.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of room here. So I would say if you're in the area, you can get tickets. It's not like last year.
No.
There's plenty of seats. There's a decent amount of Iowa fans, but I think Indiana had the most fans today of anybody. So it's not like a takeover this year like it had been. So plenty of room if you want to come out. It's pretty exciting. It should be a great game tomorrow night. And again, they went to overtime with Ohio State before. What were you going to say?
I was just saying you could come out. You might even have better seats than we do because we're up here in the crow's nest. They kicked us off courtside. We you can tell our feelings on that are not good, but should be a good one tomorrow night. Will be interesting to see. I mean, Ohio State's going to play its first game 54 hours, I think, after the tournament has started. You already have pretty much half the field's been eliminated. Iowa's already played 2 games. Sometimes I think that's a bit of an overblown thing, but when it's that drastic, I mean, Ohio State's going to be the last team to play anything or last team to make its Big Ten tournament debut this weekend. So you could see how Iowa getting a couple games under them can be advantageous tomorrow night.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Thank you guys for checking in with us. Hawkeyes beat Michigan State 74-61, 22-9 now. Should secure a 6 seed for sure. Probably playing for a 5 now in the NCAA tournament. So for Dargan Southard, this is Chad Leistikow. Thanks for joining us. And my column will be up at 6 a.m., okay, Central Time, 7 a.m. Eastern. Check that out there. Dargan's game story's got quotes in it now. He's doing another story after this. So we're going to be up super late tonight serving you guys. But we appreciate you riding along with us too because without you, we wouldn't be here. So we appreciate that. And take care. Talk to you tomorrow.